Rod Brind'Amour was a finalist for the Hockey Hall of Fame. Didn't get elected, which is stupid. The guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
He does.
Simple as that. That guy, not only does he deserve it, but the man earned it.
Speaking of
the
beef,
man earned it.
I got beef with the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Talk to
like,
me.
No, it just doesn't make sense to me because you go through and you look at the different kinds of the categories that are important to the election process for players' ability. He's got that in spades, whether it be 1,100 points, whether it be winning a Stanley Cup.
Two Selke trophies.
Two Selke trophies. One of the best special teams players we've ever seen.
One of the best face-off guys ever.
Exactly. So he's got the actual ability perspective. Sportsmanship and character, those are going to be the more like subjective, individual person, interacting within the industry, stuff like that. But
I have
everything
thoughts on that in a sec, but go on.
Everything you hear about Rod Brind'Amour from people who know Rod Brind'Amour is that Rod Brind'Amour is a good guy, and people enjoy being around him.
As someone who has interviewed Rod multiple times, absolutely great guy.
Great representative of what you want in hockey, what you want in the sport, in the league, in your franchise, all of that stuff. And then contributions to his or her team or teams and to the game of hockey in general. So Rod spent the last half of his career essentially with the Hurricanes. Is in the Hurricanes Hall of Fame. He is in the Flyers Hall of Fame. So that's two separate NHL franchise Hall of Fames.
Yeah.
And then it's the impact on the Hurricanes franchise as a whole, right? Someone who came in and was such a pivotal player, was such a face to the success that the Hurricanes had. And I like, is this, to me, sometimes I'm like, is this as simple as he didn't win the Conn Smythe? Like, if he would have gotten it in that 06 Stanley Cup, like, because I mean, it seemed like he was the one who should have won it.
There's people. There are a lot of people, and I'll probably be on that bandwagon of saying, yeah, he probably should have won the Conn Smythe. It's not a knock against Cam Ward, but Cam Ward obviously was the story, being the rookie goaltender that came in and all that. But no, to me, Rod was the guy.
Conn Smythe's for the playoffs, not just the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
and he was the guy during the playoffs for the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
And what he means to just, like I said, the teams in general, the game in general, massive part of the continued expansion of hockey in the Southeast, especially in Raleigh, especially in North Carolina. It just makes so much sense. And like all of the different boxes that you would kind of poke against to say, oh, I don't know, maybe he shouldn't be. It's like, there are the responses to that. Oh, did he win a championship? Yes, he did. He won the Stanley Cup. Does he have the stats to back it up? Yes, he does. So I don't know. To me, gosh, we can also just get into the frustration behind the election process, which for those of you who do not know, the Hockey Hall of Fame, once again, not the NHL Hall of Fame, the Hockey Hall of Fame, it is essentially there are 18 members who vote in the Hockey Hall of Fame each year. In order to get the actual, in order to get in, you have to receive 14 of those 18 votes. It is the smallest Hall of Fame voting committee amongst all of the major American sports franchises, the football, baseball, basketball, hockey, like amongst that kind of classic four group. I don't know. I hate, it's always like this with Hall of Fames. It feels like every year there's always something that just makes you want to just grind your gears and throw things against the wall.
Well, it's something you talk about, again, that just 18, but something you mentioned as well about not just the stats that what you put out there on the ice, but basically it's your likability.
Sure.
And everyone loves Rod. Everyone respects Rod throughout the league. But again, for amongst these 18, sometimes you might have just one person that's in that room that doesn't like you. And guess what? This is where human beings are politicking behind the scenes. And guys like Rod get snubbed. That's the kind of stuff that happens. There's one guy in there that just starts politicking and all that kind of stuff and won't vote for him and can speak down against somebody. That kind of stuff does happen. It just takes one. Again, this is where people, unfortunately, where human emotion does play a factor into these kinds of things when it comes to making these decisions, even though we could look and say he's one of 37 guys eligible for the Hockey Hall of Fame that have 1,100 plus points in their career and have won a Stanley Cup. 37 guys have done that are eligible for the Hockey Hall of Fame. 35 of them are in it. There's only 2 people left out. One of them's Rod Brind'Amour. Tell me what's wrong.
And it's also part of it too, I think, is the representation of the Carolina Hurricanes within the Hockey Hall of Fame itself, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the Hurricanes are not the oldest franchise out there, obviously, as the Hurricanes themselves. But when you look at it, you've got Paul Douglas Coffey, Ron Francis, and Mark Recchi, who are all, when you look into the actual Hall of Fame under the Carolina Hurricanes, and now Barrasso.
But Barrasso and Recchi played parts of season.
Exactly.
Parts of one season.
Ron Francis is the longest tenured Hurricane amongst that group, and Ron Francis didn't play the majority of the season with the Canes. And I understand that part of that is just the nature of the age of the Hurricanes. Even Brind'Amour, played 10 seasons for the Canes, and that's not more than 50% of his career.
Plus, also, we factor in as well as that Ron Francis was a longtime Hartford Whaler before going with Pittsburgh. So the longest tenure person of this organization, outside of probably Gordie Howe.
Sure, yeah.
But in terms of
the
NHL.
Carolina Hurricanes.
The Carolina Hurricanes.
Yes.
You factor that kind of stuff in. So it's mind-boggling. It's not an easy thing to get into. Again, four men get in every single year. And we're looking at Mike Vernon, Henrik Lundqvist, Tom Barrasso, 3 goaltenders, and Pierre Turgeon. Pierre Turgeon didn't have the postseason success. Won a Lady Byng trophy, was multiple times throughout his career voted for the Lady Byng, or got votes in the Lady Byng trophy. One time got some votes for a Hart Trophy for league MVP, but a guy who amassed 1,327 points in 1,294 games, better than a point per game player in his career. Big chunk of it with St. Louis, played with Buffalo for a while, the Islanders. He played for a lot of different teams. He was a great player. But, again, how do you factor in also postseason success, individual awards, all those kinds of things.